In this video, I want to talk about what is the cause of a lack of emotional intelligence and how we actually go about developing leaders to have more emotional intelligence. To understand this, we've got to understand that emotional intelligence is really the combination of two things. One is inner awareness, and the other is outer awareness, and our ability to navigate our situations effectively based upon our inner and outer awareness. So what causes somebody to be less aware in terms of their own internal world as well as their external world? One of the things that's really interesting is that research is finding is that at the root of a lack of emotional intelligence is trauma. It's somebody's prior experience with trauma. You see, trauma is an event that occurs to us that exceeds our stress response system. When our stress response system is overloaded, our body has to respond in rather significant and dramatic ways to help us navigate those situations with as little stress and pain as possible. And so what our body ends up doing when we experience trauma is the first thing that it does is our mind disassociates from our body. And the consequence of this on a long-term basis is that it inhibits self-awareness. It inhibits people from connecting with themselves. And in fact, they oftentimes don't like to connect with themselves after trauma because it elicits some of the prior pain that occurred. So it's a defensive mechanism to not be self-aware. The second consequence of trauma is that it inhibits our ability to make meaning of our world in cognitively and emotionally sophisticated ways. In other words, we encode our situations inaccurately following trauma. In fact, our stress response system should, if healthy and working effectively, interpret safe things as being safe and dangerous things as being dangerous. But after trauma, our mind and our stress response system becomes oversensitized, particularly to things of danger. So what we end up doing is we start to interpret safe things as being dangerous and dangerous things as being safe. We've got a misencoding process about the world around us. So the consequence of trauma is decreased self-awareness and inhibited ability to encode our external world, this external awareness. So at the root of a lack of emotional intelligence is always trauma. Now, this is really deep, and I haven't seen any material out in the management and leadership space that makes this connection between trauma and emotional intelligence. But it's critical because how do we usually help leaders develop emotional intelligence? Well, we send them to emotional intelligence training and we tell them you need to be more self-aware and you need to be more other-aware. But it never really translates into more emotional intelligence because we haven't addressed the underlying cause of the lack of emotional intelligence, which is an inhibited wiring within our mind that is preventing us from being self-aware and preventing us from being other-aware. So the only way to help elevate leaders' emotional intelligence is at a foundational level is to help them heal from their trauma. And I focus on vertical development, which is all about helping people to heal their minds and to elevate in their ability to make meaning of their world in more cognitively and emotionally sophisticated ways. It's helping leaders to become more self-aware and more other-aware. It is repairing the wiring in their mind that has been previously damaged by trauma. So if you want to help your leaders to become more emotionally intelligent, it's going to be critical that you become trauma informed, you understand the role that trauma plays in a lack of emotional intelligence, and that you understand vertical development. So if you need any help with any of this and want to dive deeper into this connection between trauma and emotional intelligence and how to elevate our emotional intelligence through a focus on vertical development, please let me know.